Welcome to the Content Supply Podcast. I'm Dallin Need, and each episode we bring you an inspiring brand, creator, or message to help you discover how you can experience success in your business as we unpack stories and strategies about all things content and growing a successful brand. So this is just a whole discovery process for all of us. We feature a variety of different brands on the show, from entrepreneurs, entertainers, copywriters, marketers, coaches, athletes, to designers, filmmakers, photographers, and many more. All brand owners, all creators. So it's my belief, as with many others, that every company is a content company and has to be one to stay relevant and competitive. Because let's be honest, the internet is so full of brands that it can be very easy to get lost in the crowd. So quality and effective content really separates you. That's why Content Supply was created, to supply brands with ongoing custom content so they can engage with their customers by providing value, telling stories, and making more sales. And when we say content, I'm talking about video and audio and written or image, all and everything in between. All those. Content creation and building a business is really hard. You never finish the building and creating. Even after you experience some success, you have to keep going on the journey. Content Supply was created to be a resource, a community, and a solution to fill that large gap of content. So thanks for joining the show. Now let's get to the interview. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Content Supply Podcast. Welcome back on. Today, this interview is a little bit different. We're featuring Movidiam, George, who's one of the co-founders of Movidiam. This is a creative marketplace online, both on mobile and desktop, where you can discover the talent you need to create content, but also be the talent to create content. And it's connecting brands and agencies with the right talent to produce content and to not only do that, but be involved in every step of the project management process, from sourcing the talent to creating the creative briefs to getting paid to networking, sharing your profiles. I think Facebook and LinkedIn and Vimeo marry together to support a creative first platform. It's a way that you can share your portfolio and be found and also hire for work. One way that I am constantly finding value with it and always will is the ability to simply go to the search feature, type in, I need a cinematographer or a videographer, filmmaker in Maine or in New York or in Seattle, any region of the world really, and it geographically places you there in that city or in that state or in that part of the world, any part of the world, and it puts a pin as to where that right talent is located, and then you're able to contact them, message them right away, and you can hire by region. Granted, not every creative skill set requires location-specific talent, but regardless, having that specific way to pinpoint the right talent all around the world. Movidiam, their main office is in London, the UK, and they've grown quickly. I initially met Alex, one of the co-founders, at NAB, which is a conference in Las Vegas every year, which brings together all companies, brands, and talent from broadcast, video, and the tech side of this industry. And my ears were just ringing after talking to Alex and meeting him for the first time several years ago and seeing the potential for a marketplace, a community like this to connect all of this talent together. So I'm just super passionate about this platform, and I see my involvement with it just ever increasing in any form. And so as it's a creative first platform, it feeds in the ability to source the whole spectrum of creative skill sets and doing it in a very easy and user-friendly way. So George was so gracious to provide some of his time and his busy schedule and share some of the ideas and a little bit of the background of Movidiam. So without further ado, let's get into the interview with George from Movidiam. Thanks for joining the Content Supply Podcast today, George.
Hi, Dallin. Thanks so much for having me.
Great. So, Movidiam, to the audience that I speak to, it's a new business, it's a new platform, it's something they probably haven't heard about before. So, tell
Sure.
us a little bit more about Movidiam.
Okay, so Movidiam was actually born out of a production company that was making films all over the globe for a range of different brands and businesses like Samsung Electronics, Vodafone, and Google. And we identified a whole bunch of pain points of how we actually pull teams together with the demand set that was actually required for customers. Customers were asking us very challenging things, and we needed to find better groups of creative and production people, people with real deep knowledge about very niche subject matters, people with expertise, say in flying a drone or a DOP based in Beijing in China, for example. So as the landscape of briefs changed, so too did our requirements for access to talent. So we thought, well, let's build a profiling site that helps brands, agencies, production companies, and freelancers collaborate and build an ecosystem where they can find talent to collaborate with and actually use, to a certain extent, workflow tools to help streamline that process.
Solid. So, George, you were involved in the early days in getting all this started. You were with the original production company?
Exactly, yeah, I was. Yeah, I started that production company as well.
Solid. So, how have you seen it evolve then? So, you had the idea, you saw the demand in the market to create a platform to connect the brands, connect the agencies to the freelancers, to the filmmakers, and the other creatives. How did you go about sourcing the talent and sourcing the technology to build this platform?
Well, I think what's interesting is that the need actually came from the customers asking us as a production company. So we had insight of how to build teams. I was a producer in that production company, as was Alex Vero, the other co-founder at Movidiam. And because of this need, we understood how to find people and work. What a good producer, what a good director, or what a relevant director or producer for the brief that we had received was like. And so we had a small network, much like you did before kind of the internet came along and changed things in other areas. So we looked at other areas of business that were using the internet very effectively and thought, let's apply the possibilities that the internet offers, the global creative production landscape, and apply it to a model that we know very well. And so, there was at day one individual DOP from Manchester in the middle of England on the platform, and it was a very lonely spot for him because it was him, me, and Alex on the platform.
Yeah, totally.
And then we went from there, and we asked others to come and join us, and we asked others for feedback about how to build such a thing. Obviously we had our own way of working, and what we discovered very quickly is that there are a number of different ways of working and workflows, and still we discover so many more. Almost on a daily basis, people feed back to us about tips and tricks, and this is how this works, and you might take a look at this idea. So lots of different challenges around building not only the technology, but also encouraging and asking people to join, what we saw as a very necessary thing for the industry to progress and be able to service the changing formats of production and content that was required. So what I mean by that is perhaps a shift from the traditional 30 or 60-second TV spot commercial to a more branded video or event film or Facebook or LinkedIn feed video.
Completely. Speaking to that too, let me give you a little bit of context to Content Supply and what this new brand is and why something like Movidiam is, I think, a perfect platform to help support and grow it, as with other brands. Is Content Supply is a content as a service business. So yes, it's a production company, but also it for the internet of today, the social content that's required, from video to blogs to podcasts to other forms of content, the high demand of ongoing and high volume content creation
Yeah.
is there, and at a scale that the right talent needs to be discovered and hired for the brands and for the clients. And discovering that right talent is hard. And that's obviously where Movidiam steps in, is because sometimes you need it by region, by location. Other times you need it just by the style or, the talent. So I found Movidiam incredibly valuable with sourcing talent, where It's so simple just to type in, I need a cinematographer in New York, and then it geographically places you there on a map. It pinpoints specific talent in different parts of just the city.
And these are things. These are things that we had struggled with ourselves in production companies, so thought we needed to build these things.
Completely. Well, and what were the challenges with building this tech-heavy platform? With all the moving parts that go into it.
Well, I think challenges are all part of building a business. And you've got to actually enjoy that process. And the technology build is one, building the supply side community, building the demand side community, and obviously that's very exciting when that starts to come together. But really, you've just got to eat up challenges, get through them, get over them, move on as quickly as you can.
It sounds like you've built, as you source the right talent, you've been able to build the professionals in place to get through those challenges.
I think definitely. I mean, we have a very sophisticated team, of engineers here at Movidiam. We have a great team of marketeers. We have a lot of filmmakers and production people, and so yeah, no. So, as with anything, as the platform built, so did the team, and as the business built and got a bit of a profile out there, people sort of got in touch, wanting to kind of join something with a bit of momentum.
Definitely. And how do you see it evolving? Because with content supply, with the need that I see within my business and tapping into talent, not only filmmakers or photographers, but also other forms of content creators like bloggers, the kinds that aren't as associated with the film industry. Do you see an evolution into other creative skill sets like copywriters or something like that?
Well, look, I think it's a very interesting question. It's a sort of natural question because Movidiam at this stage looks as though it can accommodate that. Yes, of course it can. But at the moment, the focus is the creative advertising world for video production because that is a niche that we understand implicitly. And therefore, getting that right first, it was essential to us to actually understand those learnings before we kind of venture into other areas. I mean, of course, on a daily basis, we get requests for photographers, or concept artists or audio engineers, and we do have a number of them on the platform, and they are finding their own way of using it, which is fantastic, and we love the feedback we get from them. But although the initial focus is video production, we actually view it as for the creative industries as a whole.
I like that. It's a more complete creative marketplace versus just a filmmaking marketplace.
Yeah, I mean, I think marketplace is obviously a word that people use because people come together and there is a commissioning element. Brands and agencies come and commission talent on the platform, but Movidiam is also a lot more than that. And, it's a professional social network. There's a lot of learning going on. People are blogging on the platform and learning off their peer community. So there's discovery. So although matching is the fuel that drives the business and the marketplace drives the business, there's a lot of ancillary things that people don't sort of think about in their first thought when they think about Movidiam because it's the commercial thing that comes to mind first. But there's a lot of other things going on the platform aside from just the matching.
Well, and that's one thing I think on the surface that until people dig into it, the capabilities are constantly evolving. Is what I see, and I think, and like I said, like what I found valuable is just the search capabilities alone and how that's constantly changing. But beyond that is building out your own profile and building out your own way to be found, but also to find the right talent and to be within that community of like-minded professionals. As I'm sure you've heard many times before, it combines, I think, a lot of strengths that come from other social networks, from Facebook to LinkedIn to Vimeo, and kind of combines it into a more holistic experience.
Well, I think you're talking about something very interesting there, which is I think is pastiche or combinatorial, review. And I think a lot of creativity, which is the background that we came from, comes from just slightly recombining something in popular culture that causes it to have a little bit of a viral loop. And if we look at what we've done with Movidiam, we have been very, very focused on the actual community of creative production and creative people, across the globe, and how we can make it relevant specifically for them, but with things that they feel familiar with that they might use on other services around the web.
Completely. As obviously the visual design is very professional and very easy on the eyes with Movidiam, both on the mobile and the desktop versions. It's a familiarity that people can get into and to quickly dive into, to learn and to apply to their business, both in sourcing talent and being the talent.
Tell me a little bit more about your business.
So content supply and creating content for online brands and entrepreneurs, it's less of those massive brands and agencies. It's more of those who are finding corners of the internet to build a community and then to monetize off those communities through paid programs, paid communities, and other forms of content. So the content, when I speak of that, it's primarily video, but it's also podcasts and other forms. But it's content that sits in three forms, both within the free realm across social media like Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, but also paid ads across social, and then the content that exists within a paid wall. And so that's where we partner with these online brands who are successful and definitely have the cash flow to invest in evolving and scaling up their content and providing that constant supply and that ongoing effort. Obviously, the world of being a creative supplier, so to speak, a service provider, is the ongoing demand and need of content for any brand to have constant attention and maintain attention is you need that frequent access to talent. And I think that there's a big struggle on the internet for creatives to find the right talent and to connect with them. I think Facebook groups have kind of evolved that, have provided that. But I think on a whole nother professional scale, that's why, once again, I go out to Movidiam and I see the platform you guys are building, and I just see the value constantly being in high demand because content supply, it's a distributed agency model where the talent is not all underneath one roof, which has its benefits for sure, but the talent is sourced worldwide, and so to find that talent, and sometimes you need it by region, let's say you need a filmmaker on site to actually film, a bunch of content, then you can source local talent within that network. And so content supply, it's a content as a service agency. It's distributed across any region. And so hiring for talent. And so it is, that's a quick breakdown of what it is, and it's evolving. And so I think tapping into what Movidiam offers, I'm really excited to see how it evolves and how it continues to provide value and how I dig deeper into Movidiam.
It sounds like a good natural fit for your business.
Totally. I mean, I'm a big advocate, and I just remember my ears ringing after meeting Alex in Vegas a couple years ago. I mean, I've seen platforms kind of start and die, kind of similar to Movidiam, but at this scale and quality, I mean, and that's the design quality is important. I know that sounds like it shouldn't be, but the design is so user friendly that it's very helpful and intuitive. So I see a natural fit there, and I'm super glad we were able to connect. I was able to learn a little bit more about your marketplace, and I would love to see it evolve to include all creative skill sets as it is right now.
Yeah, well, I think I watch this space. I think something like that might be well coming.
Well, and it's kind of like I'm sure, as you're familiar, you've got these social media brand, you got the Gary Vaynerchuks or the other, social media gurus, so to speak, marketers who know their stuff, and a big push to maintain attention online and social is to have ongoing content at a high quality but also high quantity scale, but to tap into that content far beyond just video, but in other forms that is preferred by the customers or the audience viewing. And so the natural fit is there, and it's definitely a creative first platform.
Yeah, that's what we were shining a spotlight on creativity globally.
Definitely.
Well, no, it's fantastic to have been on your podcast. It sounds like you've got a really interesting business. I think it's very applicable for Movidiam, and I think there's a lot of customers that need your help actually out there as well. I think you're in understanding about always on and producing a lot of content. That's how you get share of mind and attention. So I wish you all the best with it.
Thanks, George, for being on the podcast, and I'm definitely excited to share more about Movidiam with the creative world.
Thanks so much for your time.
Bye, George.
Bye.
So we mentioned content and brand building throughout this episode. If you're overwhelmed with running your business and you know you need more content, especially an ongoing constant supply of content that's custom, all in order to take your brand to the next level, then make sure to learn more and check out our website of Content Supply at contentsupply.io. So thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you on the next episode.